Ricky Gervais, he is in trouble again. He has a new Netflix special that's about to drop, and he has made some jokes at the expense of terminally ill children, and many, many people are not happy with this. I decided to put a poll up, as I mentioned earlier. I asked you guys, look, is it acceptable to make jokes about kids with cancer, basically? Is it okay to make jokes about terminally ill children? Right now, we are sitting at 71% say yes, it is acceptable to make jokes about kids with cancer.
Well, if you voted that jokes about kids with cancer is too far and that's not on the table for jokes, I would like you to explain why.
Yeah.
And we can talk about it. But Ricky Gervais is still getting a lot of backlash for this. Let's just go through what the joke was. We're not going to show you the clip because Netflix is going to get us. But he makes a joke about making videos for sick children through the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And the first part of this that made me question it was, are there really kids out there who are dying of cancer asking Ricky Gervais to be their final dying wish, making a TikTok for them? But that's besides the point.
John Cena was busy.
Here's his quote. I've been doing a lot of video messages recently for terminally ill children, only if they request it, obviously. I don't burst into hospitals and go, wake up, Baldy, look at me twerking on TikTok. I would say that's more of a joke at his own expense, not the children. So he said, I did a lot through the pandemic, presumably because they couldn't see their own family. And he said if a kid requested him, he would always say yes. And I always start the video the same way. Why didn't you wish to get better? He deadpanned. What, are you effing R-worded as well? And he said, I don't even use that word in real life, the R word. He's playing a role. He says, you know, if you play a cannibal in a TV show, no one thinks that you're a cannibal.
Anthony Hopkins, yes.
If Ricky Gervais uses the R slur in a comedy special, it doesn't mean that he uses it in his everyday life. I don't really care if he does or doesn't.
Yep.
If you want to go see the full bit, go watch it. The full special is coming out soon. But I saw some responses, and people aren't happy. First of all, here's a reply from Ashley Kane. He's a football star from the UK. He commented, I was actually a fan of Ricky Gervais, but after watching his stand-up with my family and hearing multiple jokes about terminally ill children, and especially kids with cancer, I had to turn it off. Some things are not funny, especially to the parents that are left behind. You can get canceled in this world for so much, yet making a mockery of dying children is okay? I'm so mad at this. So that was his reply on Ricky Gervais's post. And for context, this guy actually did lose one of his children to terminal cancer when his daughter was just 8 months old. And that was only 2 years ago. And he just had a new child recently. So I understand why that would offend him.
Absolutely.
I absolutely do.
Absolutely.
I just am not quite in agreement with him that this should make, like, your personal experience should set the rules for what people are allowed to talk or make jokes about. And in the most sensitive way I can possibly put it, like, your personal experience doesn't set the rules for what other people are allowed to say.
There was a time, we were talking about this, I was talking about this with Colonel Kurtz last night because we were talking about James Gunn and all of the tweets that you know, the pedo tweets or whatever that was reported as 10,000, but it was actually he deleted 10,000 tweets, and then however many
en masse,
they weren't
there
all
were only
that,
the three or so that
but
were.
The point was, we were talking about how, like, look, back at this time in the early 2000s especially, there was like an entire period of time where dead baby jokes was like a genre of jokes because people were trying to be as edgy as they possibly could.
The issue is that wasn't dead baby jokes. That was specifically jokes about PDF philia.
But the point is, if they're clarified as jokes, where do we draw the line?
My issue is, given that that type of behavior is commonplace in Hollywood and the entertainment industry as a whole, and he's part of that industry, it seems to hit a little closer to home. And I don't personally find those jokes funny if the status quo is this is okay in my industry.
So the joke would be more acceptable if it was from somebody outside of
I suppose
Hollywood?
it would, yes.
I mean, but then even then there, we are drawing our own artificial lines about where comedy is acceptable based
society
on your
always
profession.
has. Yeah.
And I
But
don't,
also, like, if Ricky Gervais is making this joke in a special that's on Netflix, how much more mainstream could it get? And then I also saw some backlash from another football star from Australia. His wife is terminally ill with cancer, and she made several posts about this. One was a video of her child saying a message for Ricky Gervais in response to his Netflix special, calling Make-A-Wish cancer kids baldy and asking why don't they just wish to be cured. I don't even know why I'm giving this man airtime, but if you're unsure what my last post was about, this man is using terminally ill children as the subject of his jokes. Disgusting. How this is even still on Instagram for people to see makes me sick. Gross. And she added another update. I've spoken to Ted Sarandos himself, CEO of Netflix, as well as his PA at Netflix, and had it flagged. Whether anything happens, which I doubt it will, is a different story. It'll say a lot about his character if he would rather ignore me and earn a bit of money off the back of terminally ill kids. And then she posted another update saying, I have had my number blocked by Netflix co-founder Ted Sarandos by simply asking for a call back to discuss the negative impact the Ricky Gervais special will have.
So is every joke that you've ever made of anyone off the back of that person, I guess? So Chris Rock made money off the back of O.J. Simpson, allegedly offing his wife, right? So is that acceptable?
Is that making jokes off the back of murder victims?
Yeah, and in a suspected murderer, right? Like, where do you draw the line? Comedy is subjective.
I would say where you draw the line is arbitrary, but the fact that society tends to draw a line is not arbitrary in and of itself. And then also, I also think that a lot of the people who are screaming at Ricky Gervais right now are trying to leverage their own trauma as a way to get power and influence, clearly because this woman is trying to talk to the CEO of Netflix about it, call for Ricky Gervais to get kicked off of Instagram, to get censored on social media and on Netflix for making this joke, instead of actually making this as an opportunity to have a heart-to-heart conversation with him about it and why she found it distasteful.
All of these are perfect examples of how we as adults and individuals, it's our responsibility to consume content in a way that we have to be responsible, right? Your job as an adult is to consume what you want to consume. And if something upsets you, you have to understand that that is a subjective take. You are offended. That does not mean that somebody else would. And it's narcissistic to think that your offense should require somebody else to stop from consuming something.
You also can't presume to speak for everyone that shares that personal experience of either having a terminal illness, having cancer, or having a child who does. Maybe there are a lot of them out there that don't have a platform that would disagree with you, so you can't presume to speak for them. And another mom of a child who has terminal illness spoke out, named Catherine Litchin. She said Ricky Gervais's words were like a punch in the gut. My throat closed up and tears sprung to my eyes at his words. Why don't you wish to get better? Because that is what we do wish for. The punchline of his joke is the suffering of children and parents whose greatest wish is for them to get better, but nothing in the world can grant it. I find it particularly troubling that Ricky Gervais used an ableist slur, R-worded, to describe terminally ill children. The word is a weapon of derision towards those who are born with or acquire a disability, and Gervais' use of it in a globally aired stand-up show is helping to maintain the social acceptability of discrimination against disabled people. And I fully have sympathy for what she's going through, but I have to say, you're making a lot of conclusions without really seeing the nuance that exists in comedy and in a dark sense of humor. because clearly the way that he told this joke is at his own expense.
Yeah.
He's literally making a joke like it's so absurdly funny that I can stand up here and pretend to be such a piece of shit that I would call a kid with terminal illness a name like that. The joke is we are laughing at him. The joke is at his expense. He is literally, he's not punching down, he's not punching up, he's punching himself. Yeah. It's like, it's so funny that I would possibly even be such a bad person to say something like that. And he's even said in that clip, I'm playing a role.
Yeah.
That's the joke. So you're kind of you're jumping to a lot of conclusions and forfeiting the responsibility to actually understand the context of what you're watching.
Also,
and I'm not saying it necessarily is funny, but be honest about what his intentions were with telling the joke.
And it would go past humor if we were to start being that, that censorious with this material. It would go past humor to television shows that show death and murder and don't do so in a way in which you find sensitive enough to the subject matter. Are you going to censor that because they don't handle the subject matter in a way that you feel gives it the gravity that it deserves, right? These types of subjective standards that we have for all of these issues are why art is so hotly contested in a lot of cases. And Tyler Fisher said it on Friday. He said, look, if you're going to be able to make jokes, everything has to be on the table, because at the end of the day, the problem in a globally connected world is that not everything is going to be necessarily to our own tastes, right? Mm-hmm. How often do people say it's not for you, right? We hear that all the time. So when you hear that stuff, the idea is like, look, you can wince and you can be upset by it. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. It would speak to the subjective nature of your personal life experience. But it's our job as adults when people, it's kind of like for me, and it's obviously not the same thing. When people make jokes or stuff, I post a lot of dark humor about addiction, because of my own personal experiences, because I like the idea of using dark humor. And like me and Dane will make jokes about dead parents. It will happen. And it's just not something that's bothered me, but I have a dark sense of humor.
Because you're not thinking about an audience sitting there to judge you for what you find funny.
Most of the stuff that I find funny is not stuff that necessarily I'm going to share on social media. Yeah. He has to put himself at risk for the sake of financial benefit to do that.
Like me personally, I don't think that jokes about pedophilia or jokes about abortion, for instance, are funny. But do I sit around demanding that people get censored for saying them? I don't think that Dave Chappelle should be censored for making a joke about abortion that I found distasteful and unfunny. In his special Sticks and Stones, there was specifically a joke where he says he believes it's women's unequivocal right to choose, but he believes men should have rights too. He made it.
I remember just in time. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that. It's not going to happen today.
No, not on my watch, ladies and gentlemen. I'm good.
So basically, he's making a joke that, men should have a right to choose too, so they should have a right to choose abortion. And I mean, in a sense, that's also a joke that he's making at his own expense. Like, oh, I'm a piece of shit. Like, I would choose abortion.
He's like, if you have the right to kill it, I have the right to abandon it.
Right. Like, that's also a joke that he's making at his own expense. And I don't find the subject matter laughable, but other people do. I just don't think that your personal standards should dictate everyone else's.
Yeah. Does anybody know what currency this is from Annie ML? NOK?
I have no idea.
It'd be cool if it was North Korea.
But whatever it is, it's equivalent to $20 or something.
My young friend died from a terrible illness. To the end, she laughed and was comforted by Gervais' song, Don't Make Fun of the Disabled. Her family hated it, but she needed it. I respect both. No one forces you to listen. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the nuance we need in the world today. It's the nuance we need in the world. Yeah, like for the most part, like most of the humor that I find, maybe it's also because like one of the things about sobriety is a certain level of introspection, because you have to be willing to be harsh with yourself about your behaviors or the mistakes you've made, but also with the loss of a parent. If you've worked to deal with the loss of a loved one or something like that, one of the things you have to do is be brutally honest with yourself about how you handled something like that. So when those jokes are made to me, like they don't bother me, to the point where sometimes I wonder if there's something a little bit wrong with me. Like, why doesn't it bother me?
But that's the thing that society is projecting onto you right now.
Yes.
Like, you're fucked up if you think that this joke is funny, and that's not true.
Yeah. So
That's been the case for all of human history. People make jokes about dark things to cope with it. It's just how it is. So.
Yep.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.